Hello, welcome to the Q&A portion of the show. I'm Gwen Callahan. I am the co-director of Portland Horror Film Festival, and I am joined by Chad Campbell, the director of the short documentary Jeannie's Face Exploded. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So Jeannie's Face Exploded. What prompted you to seek out this lovely, lovely woman named Jeannie who ended up kind of getting press ganged into working in effects on a lot of George Romero's films.
Yeah, so I've been a fan of Dawn of the Dead and George Romero in general for a long time. Tom Savini is like an iconic makeup artist, so you know the name if you're into horror at all. And I have a fantastic illustrator friend named Roger Scholes who lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is about 45 minutes north. We hang out once in a while. And randomly he told me, oh, someone from Dawn of the Dead, like who was one of the big people, played the blonde zombie, did this. She lives right here. I'm friends with her. And I was like, well, why have you never told me this? And so I went and met with her. And instantly you could just tell she's so genuine. She's so sweet. And she has a great story to go with it because there was the fear of like, she's just going to tell me little bits that she remembers from filming Dawn of the Dead, which would be fine. But I didn't want this to be a bonus feature. I wanted it to be a documentary.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make sure she had enough with that. And she totally did. Blew me away. And immediately I was like, let's get something on paper here and make this happen because I don't want to miss this opportunity.
Nice. And was she like all on board with this, or was she hesitant to film at
Uh,
first?
she was not hesitant at all. I think she is. She is a huge animal advocate, animal rights advocate, big animal lover. Um, Me and my wife are as well. So we were able to instantly just connect on that, and then also horror. And so all of this worked out, and I didn't have a single hesitation. She went with it. I did my research. I studied all the other podcasts she had been on, so that I knew what questions to ask and how to get a narrative out of it. But it was really just all her, and I was honored to do it.
Nice. I think people think, so we see the end result of the documentary, but a lot of us don't really have a full understanding of like what all the preparation and everything that goes into that. And you mentioned briefly, like you research documentaries and or podcasts and things like that, interviews with her.
Yes.
What tell us what that process is like and like how long do you take to kind of do that background and build up your question base and all that stuff?
Yeah, honestly, I'm a pretty lazy filmmaker in a lot of ways. Where I want my film to be good and I want it to tell the story, but that's my main focus. So everything else kind of takes a back seat on the technical level, which is why the audio bugs me so much in this film. There, I just lambasted my own film here. But anyway, I think that the story is so good in this, and I want to make sure that if I'm taking up somebody's time, I don't want it to be like I don't know any of this and I have to then jumble a narrative together off of those initial emotions. I'd like to come in with an idea of what their story could be. And obviously, they could tell it different, and I go with that. That's totally fine. But I feel like it's respectful to them and to myself and my own post production time if I can come in knowing a somewhat of their story, some kind of cohesive narrative. We've done documentaries before when I was younger where we just like started to film something, and unfortunately you get 40, 50 hours of footage to go through, and if at the end you're like, boy, where do I even start? I found out the hard way, like that takes a long time and it's really draining, especially when documentaries are extremely usually low budget. You don't have like, you're doing this on the side, it's a passion project. So as to not waste everyone's time, I just looked at Jeanie Jefferies. What can I find on Google about her? Oh, she's been on this podcast. What are the things she asked? Oh, this person tried to say like George Romero got worse later in life, and Jeanie really did not respond well to that. Let's avoid talking about that because it's how do I make everything in this apply to her and make sure that the horror fans are going to watch this if they love Dawn of the Dead. There's a chance that their spouse may not. How can I make a film that if a spouse ends up having to watch this with someone, they can still watch it and have a good time? That's how I kind of approached it. What's the accessibility here that tells her story, whether you've seen Dawn of the Dead or not?
I really enjoyed that aspect of learning about who she was as a person and her professional career.
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, she was just the coolest person. Fantastic to work with, and stories that are so awesome. Half of them I couldn't even include on there, else it would have been, way too long. But it was awesome to work with her.
Nice. Is this the first documentary you've done, or you are a documentary filmmaker on the side, as you say?
Yes, yeah, on the side. So probably like once every 18 months, I put something out. It is my job is video. That's what I do here in Michigan. So I'm doing it all the time for either a business or an event or things like that. But once in a while, you're like, I kind of want to tell a story that I find passionate. I'm cheap, so I only like to tell them in a documentary format so that I don't have to get 70 people on board. It can be me with a camera for the most part. This is my probably fourth or fifth, what I would call like major documentary that I've done that I've actually had the guts to submit to festivals. Um, but yeah, film's always been a major part of my life. So if I haven't seen someone else make it, I want to make it if I can.
Okay. You mentioned before we started the official Q&A, you mentioned that you also write for GFan magazine.
Yes, actually, let me see if it'll show. I have one right here. Yeah, I have an article in that about the guy who ended up producing the show, who is just a great Godzilla artist. He's just kind of coming in through the blur. Um, it's just a fun thing on the side that I do. I love Godzilla. I love kaiju. Always have like, I mean, when I first saw King Kong and I was, gosh, young, 4 or 5, 1993, they released a version that the chest roared if you pushed on it. Coolest VHS cover ever.
Wow.
Um, and so that got me into, then there was King Kong versus Godzilla. So I wanted to watch that. That got me into Godzilla. So kaiju is a major part of my life. Um, yeah, I really truly love that.
Nice. So are there any other films that you would like to pimp out or that people might know you from? See,
Um,
I didn't do my research.
no, that's okay. No, that's totally
I'm the
fine.
laziest.
The only other film I've done was that I people might know is one called Short. It's on YouTube. It's called Last Day for Videos, and it was about the final day of Family Video, which was a rental chain here in America, and they were the last rental chain that we had. I mean, there's individual stores, absolutely, but they were the last chain, and in 2021 they closed. I had done a couple social media things for them, so I just went on the last day of the one here in town and filmed it closing. That one really kind of took off. And like, I have a hubby award from Joe Bob Briggs, which is really huge in the world of horror. Lloyd Kaufman saw it and wanted to do an introduction for it. So I have an introduction from Lloyd Kaufman. So it really, that's what kind of got me into the thinking, oh, I should do a horror documentary because these people, if you love horror, you tend to really enjoy physical media still for whatever reason. And you also enjoy behind the scenes stuff. You enjoy documentaries. You like to hear about this. And so I've always loved watching that stuff. The series, there's a 13 and a half hour series called In Search of Darkness about the 80s horror films. So good. I'm in the end credits of number 3. And that's what kind of inspired me because I'm like, if I watch 13 and a half hours of this, someone's going to be interested in watching 20 hours on Jeanie. Or 20 minutes. Don't watch 20 hours on Jeanie. That's a bit excessive, but so yeah, I've always been into that. And Last Day for Videos is the one that really kind of took off. Lunch Meat VHS did a release of it, sold out in 2 hours. It was just really cool time in my life that encouraged me to keep going with a lot of this.
Nice. That's amazing. I love that you pick projects that you are personally very interested in and
Yes.
make it happen for the rest of us because you are absolutely correct. I think horror fans in particular really want to know how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether it be real or fake.
Mhm. Yes. But that's what's fascinating about it is wow, that's how they did ripping his face off. Like we want to know that stuff. That's when you know you're with a real like horror fan who's gonna watch probably has seen the same things that you've seen is when they're like, do you know how they did that? And they actually took the time to research it. Like I don't know what it is about us, but we tend to love that stuff, and I think it's awesome.
I think part of it is like we need to know how things work in case we're ever in a, zombie apocalypse or like in
Right.
that situation.
Exactly.
Like we're
Exactly.
kind of preppers in our own way, I guess.
Yep.
So what is next for you? Are you working on anything now?
Yes, I have a film. There is a author named Jonathan Rand. He's famous for the American Chillers series, but Michigan Chillers is a book series he's done. Sold like 9 million copies between the two of them. Kind of like a Goosebumps, R.L. Stein of Michigan, basically. I did a documentary on him that got bought by PBS, and assuming they're still on the air legally, after their funds get cut, that will be playing this fall. So that's really exciting for me to be able to have something that's going to be kind of, on TV stations throughout America. So that will be coming out. Jeannie's face exploded. We're really close to signing a deal. I can't go into too many details on that, but that should be in stores across America relatively soon.
Okay, amazing. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, physical media collectors.
Yeah.
Because, streaming stuff that they can pull that at any time and
Absolutely.
not.
Yeah. And right now, one of the bonus features on it is the entire Genie conversation unedited. So you can see like everything that I cut, but it was just and how fascinating she is as a person and how many amazing stories she has.
Nice. I mean, she just seems like the nicest woman, and if she has any inkling about like maybe going to a convention, I'm sure that she would have a line up at her table to meet her.
Yes. She was just at Monroeville Mall, which is where they shot Dawn of the Dead, because they are gonna potentially demolish that whole place and build a Walmart. And so she went to just kind of be a part of the maybe final event there. And I hope that doesn't happen, but also, malls are not making the money they did in the 80s. So who knows?
Okay, well, excellent. That's really great to hear about her and great to hear about you.
Yeah.
If people want to find more of your work or they want to like get news about Jeannie's Face Exploded, is there someone on the internet that people can find you?
Absolutely. So if you're on Instagram, you can look up the Alamo Studio. That is our main account. And then for me, it's Chad M. Campbell. That's my personal account. Personally, I probably will post stuff even more than on our main studio account. So if you really want to know stuff, ask me questions, do whatever it is, reach out to my personal page, the Alamo Studio page, though. There's a few of us that run that. So follow that and we can find out what else we're doing. We've got a feature film that's been in production for like 5 years that my friends should be releasing pretty soon, and I'm excited to see that.
Is it horror?
Yeah, you could say it. Some people will say it's horror. It's like a horror comedy.
Okay.
But some people will say it's suspense. Some people will say it's thriller comedy. It's a variety of things, but I think it's going to be good for that.
Okay. Awesome. We'll keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me about your film and like thanks for making the film and bringing awareness about like Jeannie and her contributions to the horror genre to the forefront.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and I really can't wait to be in person in Portland someday.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, everyone. Yeah, go check out Chad's Alamo Studios and his Instagram. And right now we've got it's always open, but it tends to get a lot more traffic during festival time. But we have a Portland Horror Film Festival Discord community, and you can find that on the short URL is bit.ly slash PHFF Discord. Actually, I think it's bit.ly slash PHFF Discord. And there's a
That's
lot of filmmakers and audience hanging out there this week, particularly this weekend. So jump on that and chat with each other, and we will see you at the either at the next festival or the next Q&A. Thanks, everyone.
thanks.